most home users would be able to install this themselves, and if not, what we do in a lot of cases, we actually remote into customers' PCs and install it for them. I guess you could do that. So using whatever remote desktop software you're using, perhaps log me in Rescue or go to my PC. You could log in and install it. It takes about 10 minutes to install and configure, so it's a pretty lightweight process. David Phillips asks, at the $250 level, how much space does that allow? David, I'm a little bit embarrassed to say that I don't know. I do know it used to be 250 gigs, but they're always running promotional specials. So I think right now it's 300 gigs. But they're constantly running promotional specials. So call in and talk to a partner specialist to get to get the best deal you can. But it's I believe it's currently 300 gigs of space that you get for that. Now, depending on how you're reselling it, if you're reselling it at say $10 a gig a year, you can sell 300 gigs for $3,000. So it's a good, easy way to get into the market. Katie Reed's confirming that we did have a special for 300 gigs. Okay, great. Thanks, Katie. Ken Walling says, is there any key escrow? Ken, I'm not sure what you mean by that. If you can provide more details, I'll do my best to answer. Thomas Smith, any support for VMware? Thomas, yes, you can either install, depends which type of VMware environment you're running. Are you talking about VMware Workstation? Are you talking about VMware, say, XE Server? Okay. With XE, we just tell you to, we recommend that you install SOS within the virtual machine itself. So we don't have a solution that will connect to XE and actually then back up the VMs externally to that. We'll actually run the software within each VM. Does that make sense? Peter Daniels asks, will this solution back up open databases? Yes, it will, but we highly recommend against that. What we recommend you do is use whichever database software you're using's inbuilt backup utility. They all have backup ability, and so either script that or set it up in the job management system of the database and then back up the backup files. That's really the safest way in terms of data integrity. You can back up the files directly, but you risk data corruption by doing that. Do you work only through channel or direct sales too? We're 80% through the channel, Henry, so we do have some direct sales, but the vast majority of the business is focused on the channel. We do think it's important, though, to maintain our presence in the direct market because our partners look to us to teach them the best way to sell the product, the best way to market the product, the best way to price the product. So we do feel strongly that if we're not in the business ourselves, then we don't have credibility. And so that's why we do maintain a direct sales presence as well. Is this OS X compatible? You mentioned something about Mac, but I missed it. It won't run on OS X. But it can back up OS X data. So so long as there's a Windows machine on the network, then SOS can be configured to back up the Mac data. It'll suck the data across the network and then up to the cloud. But if you've got a purely Mac environment, then this isn't the solution for you. So Ken Walling says, is there a public-private key pair, asymmetric encryption, or just a shared secret symmetric key? If these keys are lost, how would the data be recovered? Key escrow would be some way to decrypt the customer data. Okay, so we don't supply key escrow. We do, however, use public-private key pairs and with what's called our ultra-safe security option. And the answer to your question, what happens if you lose the key? If you lose the key, you're in trouble. If you lose the key, we cannot recover the data for you. And nor would you be able to recover the data. So there's two security options when you sign up. You can either sign up with UltraSafe or you can sign up with standard security. And most of our business customers use UltraSafe, where SOS doesn't have the ability to see the data. We don't have your security key at all. Excuse me. Peter Daniels asks, is it Linux or NetWare compatible? So again, Peter, we can back up Linux and network data so long as you've got at least one Windows PC in the network. If it's a purely Linux environment or purely NetWare environment, we can't. So we need at least one PC to be present in the environment to work. We've got a few more minutes for questions. No more questions at this point. But we've got another 5 minutes, so please do Oh, sorry if you just came in. I'm sorry, can you repeat what you said about ultra-safe versus standard? Certainly. So every single backup we run, the data gets encrypted before it gets transferred to the data center. But there's two different ways that we can handle the encryption keys. Our standard security system uses a shared security key. What that means is that if the customer lost their password, then we could unlock it for them and give it back to them. With our ultra-safe security model, it's based on a public-private key model where we never have the key that is used to encrypt the data. What that means is if you lose your credentials, if you lose your key, we can't help you. We can't reset your account. We can't give you your data back. And so it very, very rarely happens, but it has happened. So what we always recommend is if you use ultra-safe security, make certain you've got a copy of the key in a secure location, like, for example, a safe deposit box. And our banking customers and our legal customers and our government customers all use that security mechanism. It's important for business and government. But standard security is more than enough for your average home user. I hope that answers the question, Katie. Okay, Michael Lane, my internet connection went down when you were talking about cost to partners. Can you recap? Sure thing, Michael. There are lots of different models. The wholesale model is pretty simple. You buy from us at wholesale and you sell retail to your customers. The more you buy from us, the cheaper rate you get per gig. Our lowest price point is $250 a month, and you get 300 gigs for that, as well as all the white labeling, all the branding, the account management, access to all the training resources, full access to the partner resource center. Okay. Aaron Chandler, is there a document that compares your recent offerings and their prices, features? Absolutely, Aaron. And if you call into the partner specialist team, that's one of the first things I'll give you. They'll also give you a mock-up so you can see what your technology might look like, and they do what we call an ROI, where they'll ask you a few questions and put together an Excel table for you that shows you different scenarios for revenue generation and profit. So it's quite a useful use of 10 minutes. So I'd really recommend you all call in to and ask for a mock-up, ask for an ROI, and ask for a comparison of the different options. Katie Reed, so they keep the key rather than the reseller. Katie, if you were setting it up for your customers, you could keep the key, or you could give it to them as well, or both. Ken Walling, could you elaborate a little on the vulnerability scanner that was on the slides? Certainly, Ken. I'll just go back. So the vulnerability scanner is a very simple tool. It's 400 kilobyte download. It doesn't need to be installed. It just runs. And what it does is it very rapidly scans the master file table of the hard disk of the PC it's running on for data types. You can find it on our website. So it's on our website under downloads. You'll be able to get it. And it's a tremendous tool for scoping a sales opportunity, because you run this on every PC in a customer's environment, and it's going to come back and tell you how much data there is in these different categories. And that would form the basis of, say, a quote that you would give them. Right, so we rebrand that, and it's a tremendous sales and marketing tool. I think it's one of our most popular tools, frankly. Any other questions on that, Ken? Henry Joe asks a great question. Why would a prospect go through that channel rather than direct? What would be the incentive? Also, what is the price structure for direct sales? So Henry, they'd buy from you if you've got a relationship from them and if you're selling it to them. They're not going to, I'm not suggesting for a moment that somebody in, say, Germany is going to Google you, find you on the web and buy from you. That's not what this is about. But if you've got a captive audience and you've got a business, your customers are already buying from you, and you add this into the business relationship you've got. So we nearly always see this as an additive sale. Whatever you're already selling to these customers, whether it's a product or a service, you can sell this alongside that and continue to leverage that customer relationship you already have to expand the revenue that you can drive from that relationship. From a pricing standpoint, you can set the price at whatever you like. We don't restrict our partners on pricing. So you can price this to your customers however you will. Ken makes a good point. Ken says, strange name for the vulnerability scanner. I'm a security professional. Vulnerability scanners usually deal with potential ways to compromise systems, i.e. they identify security vulnerabilities, but I see what your tool does. Sounds good. Ken, you're absolutely right. We don't really, exist in the security industry. Backup's sort of its own little thing, and although vulnerability scanner might not be the best name for it, what it's trying to communicate is your exposure, your risk. It's trying to calculate for the customer how much you've got on the line, how much data could you lose, right? So we came up with vulnerability because you're vulnerable to data loss. But no, it's not. It's certainly not scanning for holes in the system or security weak points. Ken suggests we might think about renaming it as Asset Scanner. Ken, I will forward that on to our Director of Marketing. Aaron Chandler asks, will the ETTE run across the network as admin and summarize the data, or do you have to run it on each PC? Just one comment, ETTE, that's the name of a partner of ours, so that's just an example of the rebrand. You can see the SOS branded version down the bottom of this slide, SOS Vulnerability Scanner. It doesn't work across the network at the moment, it just works on the local PC, but we're working on an updated version that will crawl the network. So keep your eye on the lookout for that, and that should be ready in the next couple of months. Great. We're out of time, so if there are any last questions, I can take them now. Otherwise, I'd really encourage you to call in and talk to a partner specialist. They can answer all of your questions much better than I can. Get a mock-up so you can see what your technology would look like, and we'd love to see you join the SOS partnership team. So thank you very much for your time, and have a wonderful day. Just a few small follow-up questions here. If we were rebranding the vulnerability scanner, you can call it whatever you like. So you can rebrand all the products, including the vulnerability scanner, and you can absolutely offer the vulnerability scan to your customer. That's a key part of what we do with that. So that's it, very easy. Okay, well, that seems to be the last of the questions, so I think we'll leave it there. Thank you, everybody, for your time.